Okay, so today we're going to take a look at programming your Jofemar vending machine. First thing you're going to want to do when you receive these units is what we call priming the coin mechanism. And basically it's teaching it the coins. Now, if you had a refurbished unit, you'll have a little guide like this pasted on the inside window. If you have a new machine, you'll get an email of that because the new ones don't ship out of our location. They come straight from the manufacturer. Before you actually prime this unit, I would recommend to check it and empty out any coins in case something was left in there from previous testing, especially if you got a refurbished model. So to do that, you're going to hit the 2 button. It'll say --26. Then you'll hit the 3. You'll have all dashes. Then you hold the 2 button. Okay, there's nothing in there now, so it's just you're just hearing it click over. If no change dropping, you're good to go. And then you can hit the 4. 4 is kind of like the enter or exit on this unit. And if you notice, these buttons go 1, 2, 3, 4 counterclockwise. So okay, there's no change in there. Let's go ahead and prime it. Now to prime it, you're going to hit the 1 button, and then you'll have just --25. Some models could have, like, say, some dashes and dots. That's okay. So as long as you have the dashes or dots or the --25, you're good to go. And what you're going to need to do, and it's real specific on this. So once you have --25, you're going to go ahead and load in 3 nickels. And then there you go. After you put in that 3rd coin, it's going to click over. You'll hear it make some noise. So now we're going to move on. First you do your 3 nickels. Now you're going to do your 3 dimes. Okay, clicked over. And now for this next step, you're going to do 6 quarters. So 3 nickels, 3 dimes, 6 quarters. Okay, and don't be alarmed. After you put in your first 3 quarters, it'll kind of click over. You just still enter 3 more. Okay, and after you have your 6 quarters inserted, you're going to lastly do 3 gold dollars. So keep that in mind. You're going to need to get a few gold dollars to properly prime this thing. You can't skip this step. It's very important to get your machine going. Okay, so after you put in those 3 gold dollars, you're ready to go. Now, if you have more change, you can simply load it up. So at this point, after you get those 3 gold dollars in there, just take whatever change you have and start loading it in. You know, you do have to load it in kind of how a customer would, and just put it in through the slot. So filling it up at first takes a little time. It is what it is, but you know, the machine self-replenishes, so you won't really have to deal with this often. So this is anytime you need to first get your machine, you need to get your coin mechanism up and running. Once you're done, simply hit the 4 button, and now you're going to see these 2 communication lights. So they're kind of blinking back and forth. That means the unit's in normal operation. So that's what you're looking for. The machine's ready to go. And again, let's say we loaded too much change in. Let's get some change out of here. We're going to hit the 2 button, 3 button, and now we can hold the 2 and get some change back if we wanted. Side note, if you're doing that, make sure there's a cup underneath, or you got your hand underneath the return, so you don't splash coins everywhere. Okay, so now if you're getting an error code, or you had one, or you want to check for any errors, what you're going to want to do is hit the 1 button. Okay, it's going to say --25, and then you press the 4. Now, we didn't have any errors there, but if the errors show up as like 001, 002, and they kind of give you like error codes like that, keep in mind if you do have a 002 error, we have a separate video for that. Basically, there's like some stuff that's, if it ever gets like real jammed up in there, that's typically a 002 error, and you know, you're going to have to follow a little tutorial on how to clear it out and kind of take care of that. Another thing that's good to know how to do is a hard reset on the machine. Alright, now what you're going to do is there's a little power switch. Let's see if I can get this in here. There's a little red power switch right there. Okay, so you're going to turn the machine off, and now what you're going to do is turn the machine back on, but this time you're actually going to have to hold the number 4. So hold the number 4 button while you boot the machine on. Okay, and then you're going to see there that there's a little red decimal point. Okay, let's see if I can zoom this in. Alright, so what you're going to do now is hit and hold number 2. And now you'll see there's 2 decimal points. Okay, now we're going to release these. And when you release them, you'll see a little U flash by. So again, boot the machine on while holding 4. Then, after it boots on and you have 1 decimal, hit and hold this number 2 and release them together. And then there you go. It's very brief. You'll see a U flash by, and then your unit will recycle. And now we have the 2 communication lights here. Again, that just means it's a normal operation, or like a ready state when you have the 2 toggling lights. Okay, so now I'm going to take you through setting up and programming your Jofemar vending machine. We'll go through the basics on how to set just pricing, temperature, and a lot of the common adjustments that you might need to do if you just got a brand new unit, as those will all come blank essentially. Or even if you got a refurb where we preset everything for you, but you just want to make a few adjustments. So what you're going to do is open your door, and you'll see there's a little programming switch right here. So we're going to hit that. And when you hit this programming switch on this machine, you can shut the door all the way. A lot of other machines, you actually, if you shut the door, it'll knock you out of the programming. So we hit our programming button, and the way that this machine works, for your main menus, your top level menus, you'll use the star and pound buttons to scroll through. Okay, and then you would use the A button as your enter. So let's say we want to change the price. You would hit A, and now we can type in whatever price that we would want to do for that, for a certain selection. So let's say we wanted to do $1.25, hit A. Now it's going to ask us what selections to make. So let's say we wanted to do 11, 13, and 23. So we would do 11, 23, saved, and 13. Okay. Now, a good thing to note here, see when I hit 11, it says not available. If you hit a selection that's not available and that's not programmed to the channel, we recently unprogrammed that one to show you, that means it's not valid. So either you got to switch the numbering in there is wrong, or we got to go into some more menus to tell the machine, hey, we need a snack there at selection 11. Now once you're done, B will basically exit you out of programming completely. C is kind of a backup a level, at least on most of the programs that we run into. So let's hit C. Another thing on this particular price menu, it'll tell you there if you want to just display the pricing to basically check what's already set up. You can hit the C button, and then you can use your star and your pound in here to go through the selections and see what they're all programmed for. Okay, so that's how you set up and adjust your pricing. So let me back out here. And now I can use the star and the pound to go through some of the other main menus. Let's go to, let's see here. Fault checking is a good one. So to check the faults on here, we would hit the A, and it's going to go through and just make sure everything's set up and operating and connected. So that's all good. If it had some errors, it would tell us there. And now what we can also do, let's say you did have an error. Say there was a bad motor in one of these selections here. You fix it. That error is still going to be saved in memory. So what you're going to want to do is hit A on clearing all faults. You'll see it blink. And that's going to say, okay, we cleared all the faults. And that's another way you can check to make sure what you did fixed it for that particular issue. So very important, if you're getting errors, make sure you clear them because the machine will save them in memory. Okay, so now let's go to temperature settings because that's something that a lot of people like to adjust on their machines. We'll hit the A button. Expiration due to temperature would be for like if you had a health sensor. A lot of these machines, you know, people will do food and spoilable product like milk. So if you have the health sensor in there, then that will keep track to make sure if the machine, say, loses power in the middle of the night, then cuts on in the morning, that everyone walking up sees a working machine, but that stuff spoiled a few hours ago. Alright, so that's basically a safety feature. If you're just doing like pre-packaged drinks and snacks, I would disable it so you don't have to deal in the future with keeping your door open too long and loading in product. So on here it's disabled. We'll back out. And now when you're in these sub-menus, and let me go back out and show you about the sub-menus. So once you get into a sub-menu, a lot of them, you'll hit the A to enter in, but instead of using the star and the pound here to go through these sub-menus, you're going to use the 1 and the 2. So they work the same way, but these are more for your sub-menu options. So working temperature, let's enter in on that. It's set to 39. You can go all the way up to around 54, I thought it was. So 32, so about 33 to 54 degrees. Alright, let's get that. We would recommend about 39. Right there's a pretty good setting. So let me back up a level. Expiration period. We can go in here. So if you do have a health sensor in your machine, what you would do is you can set the amount of hours that it's basically like active for. So you can go in here and you can make it 1 hour. So how this works is, say your machine is supposed to be at 40 degrees. But if your machine goes over 40 degrees for a period of 1 hour, 1 hour or 2 hours, you can set it to whatever you want, then disable the machine and lock it out so no one can use it and you can't accidentally sell spoiled goods. You know, if you are doing stuff like this, I would say 4 or 5 hours. If it raises past that certain temperature point, you know, you're pretty safe for about 4 hours. Okay, let's back out of there. Let's see, working temperature, temperature on display. So this would be, you can toggle if you wanted it to display the temperature on the screen when it's just a normal operation. You know, you could toggle it on and off. Most people are going to leave that on. Let's see. Temperature scale. Fahrenheit or Celsius. We're in America, so we're going to use Fahrenheit. Alright, now that's pretty much all the basic temperature options that you would mess with on the machine. Generally, if you got a refurbished machine, I wouldn't mess with these and really change these around too often because we're going to have a lot of this set for you. But, you know, setting a price or adjusting, physically adjusting some of the selections would be more along the lines of what you might do from the get-go. let's go through and we'll just show you some message options and other features that you might want to get into. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at programming a custom message when the machine's a normal operation. So again, you would go into your programming, scroll to whatever menu you need here. We will hit the A. Now, when you're in the message programming, let that focus, you can move through the different letters with the 1 and the 2. 1 will move you forward, 2 will move you backward. And then basically you're going to use the 4 button to go forward through letters, and the 5 to go backwards, or the 3 will go backwards. So the 1 and the 2 will move you forward and left through the position, and then forwards and backwards through the letters is 3 and 4. Okay, and then you can hush the button. Alright, so now you would go through, program whatever you wanted there. None of these other buttons really do anything on here. So now we're going to take a look at how to add or subtract and generally customize your selections on the trays. As you see here, we have 3 chip selections wide. And the reason you can tell these are chip selections, there's basically 2 types of rails. They call them extractors in the Jofemar. The middle band in here will be smooth. These would be for like chips, candy, basically anything that can't stand upright on its own, like a drink or say a food item. And they're smooth. Let me see if you can get that in the shot. And they have these removable clips here that pop in and off, the product dividers. Okay, now the middle band is smooth for those chip and snack selections. And then for your drink selections, you might not be able to tell on camera, but the middle band on these are really rough. It's almost like the middle white band here is flipped inside out. And anything that stands up on its own is going to work just fine in one of these. That's really the only difference, and you can't put the little black product dividers in this one, and you don't need to. You know, all your drinks you would just load straight in, and the bin has sensors in it. It will detect when an item falls in. It's not detected at all, and has nothing to do with these black clips. These are a purely manual, physical thing to just keep the items separated and help keep them up a little. Okay, what you're going to do to even just remove the tray, they're going to have these little notches here on the side. So you just press that in, and then you can lift the tray and slide it out. Okay, now to slide the tray, before you slide the tray all the way out, make sure you unhook your harness for that tray. To remove the actual item off of here, you would unhook your harness, okay, and now the selection, this whole rail pulls right out. As you can see, there's little notches in there. There's little notches in the back of this, okay, as well as in the front. They're very small, but there's little notches there. So you basically just align those up when you're sliding in your rail, and they'll kind of clip into place, and then there you go. You just make sure that it's even all the way across. And this one looks a little off, so we'll lift that up and pop it into the next slot. And that's all you have to do to add or remove. You know, again, I just took this one out, put it back in, but you also have these side spacers here. I just have one hand, so it's a little tough, but these are the same principle. They just pop in and out. There you go. You want to get the rail out first because it has that little overhang. I'm just doing this with one hand quickly to show you. And then now you can, you know, move these all around. I mean, these Jofemar machines are very modular. You know, you can really pull these in and out. The only difference that there's ever going to be is with these main rails, these main extractors. The ones with the ridges are going to be for freestanding items like drinks and that. And the ones that are flat are going to be more for chips and candy, because, you know, those are going to use those little black product spacers, and they'll hook into there. And also those ones are a little deeper than this because they need to have room for that little black clip to fit underneath when it rotates this whole band around. Alright, so keep that in mind there. That's an easy way to tell, though, is just feeling it. If it's ridged, freestanding items. If it's flat, then it's going to be for your chips and that. The way that the tray harnesses work is you have 11 through 18. This is 11 at the bottom. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 all the way at the top there. And that's important to remember, because when we go into the programming, we're going to add a selection here. Or if we take one out, you really don't have to program anything. It just won't be available. But say if you wanted to add a selection, tray 11 is linking to selection, you know, all these 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. But the machine really calls them channels when you're programming them. So this would be 11, and then you got 61. But you don't want to think of the numbers. This you have 7 harnesses in the back of this tray. Okay, and you'll notice some of these aren't going to be hooked up. Have a loose one here. You have some more loose ones back here, and you just feel back there. You have 7 available harnesses for each selection. So these are the selection harnesses, okay? And then you have your main tray harness there. So it would be, if we're dealing with this bottom tray, because it starts at 11, it's channel 11, 1. The second harness, assuming we didn't skip one, would be 11, 2. Alright, so channel 111, channel 112. There's a tray missing here, so that's fine. This would be number 12. Tray missing number 13. This is tray 14. So number 41 is channel 141. And we're going to touch on this in just a second, and I'll show you why that's important to remember when you're programming and adding in more selections. Okay, so let's say you went ahead, you made all your adjustments to your tray how you wanted. Now we're going to program the channels. So what you're going to do, hit your programming button, and we're going to look for a menu called Machine Composition. There we go. You're going to hit the A button there. Now you can press 1 to program your new configuration, or you can hit number 2 to check the current ones. So let's do that now. Selection 11. That's channel 181. Selection 13. That's 184. Well, wait a second. 13 is right next to 11. Why did it skip over? Skipped over because in the back here, again, remember, it's not, channels are not these selection numbers. Channels are the harnesses in the back. So in between these two, you have 1, 2, and 3 must be unhooked back there, and number 4. This is the 18th plug, or the 18th tray harness. So 18.1, 181, 18.4, 184. Okay, so that's how the actual channels work. It's not really talking about selections there. And again, it goes 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, and 11. So 11 to 18, like this, let's say this one here. This would be 17, so this would be 171 for the channel. This would be 172 if it's using the next harness back there. If it's not, you just got to look and see what it is. And again, you would know that because you'd only really be messing with these channel configurations if you're adding or removing selections. So lastly, what we're going to do, that's how you check it. So we're going to just back up, and then we're going to go to Program. And it's really the same thing. It's going to ask you for a selection. We could hit 11, and now it'll say, what channel do we want to make it? Well, that's ones I know is on the first harness, so we'll say 18, 1. Hit the A to choose it, and it'll say that it's saved.